Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Alazmat. I said that right? I think I said it wrong last time.
I've given up on how people pronounce my name. So you
Yeah,
could call me Sebastian, and I'm like, that's me. That's me, Graham. That's me. My
you,
coffee's ready.
your real name is Sebastian.
No, it's not, but I'm just saying I've given up.
Oh,
So
I love that name, Sebastian.
it's a cool name, but it's not for me. But
Okay.
whatever. I don't care. Whatever.
So first off, let's say hello to Dave Brink. Dave, how you doing? Good. Dave is the guy behind Genuine Comics, one of my favorite comics.
Nice.
Perfect 10. And,
Shout out Genuine Comics. Here, clip that.
Yep.
Okay.
It's so good. There's such good comics. I
Nice.
heartily recommend that you get them. And then
Okay.
while you're getting them, while you're at Fund My Comic, check out Heroic Tales 2. I'm still fulfilling. I just came back from the post office. I dropped off a huge IKEA bag full of orders. So I love seeing posted that they got my comics. Let me take a sip.
Oh, that's September.
Yeah, we'll drink together. We'll drink together.
That's
What are you drinking? Coffee?
black.
Black coffee. Milk and sugar.
Look at that. See, Diversita. This is Diversita. Oh no, don't highlight her. Don't highlight her. She the real streams. She stalks me. Please don't highlight her. She's in the ban zone too. So don't highlight colors.
Don't highlight her. Okay.
She's a monster.
It's up to me. Goes Vin's. There's no way I'm pronouncing this. It's up to me. Did I watch your streams more often? Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Watch them. Watch them when you feel like watching them. Quack. We got quacks. Quacks in the house. What geeks do? How you doing? What geeks do? I think your order went out today. I might be mistaken, but I think your order went out today. And Carol Colors is saying, "Wow."
See, this is what she does. She wants to divide people in the stream because she
Divide
gets
and conquer.
It's degenerate.
Yep. So how you doing? Oh, let me see. Yes, you have a Kickstarter out. There we
Yes,
go. I'll put that link in there.
Mhm.
And man, I'm having a rough start today. This is my first day back at the normal schedule, regular morning job. I've been working the middle shift for months now. It just seems like forever. So
I hate middle shifts are torture because you sleep during the day. Oh no, you sleep at night, but then you get up at time only for like a couple hours before you have to go to work. So it's almost like the entire day is taken
right.
up.
It's not almost like it's exactly like that.
There you go. Yeah,
I got to be at work at 3, but I have to leave the house at 1. For those people who live near, it's an hour and a half commute, and I don't like just. I like a little bit of time at work. You got to change your boots. You got to get into your work gear and everything. So and then it's Tuesday. It was like a 3-hour commute home because of traffic or whatever. Ah, God. So today I wake up, I'm taking the train. So now in the morning schedule, I just take the train. I back to normal. What you doing? I don't know where you live, but man, long commute. Nice pink shirt, she says. She likes.
No, see, there you go. See, already, I was relating to your plight of the middle shift and the traffic, which I don't miss, by the way, because I used to live in New York, and I remember being in Queens, going to Long Island and back, doing that trek, or like living in Brooklyn and going into Manhattan and doing that trek. I don't miss it. So I was like, yeah, I can totally get that. But then before I say anything, you highlight her comment in the chat, and she's already talking about my shirt. Listen, you've seen when blood peeps out of the veins after a minute, it turns this color. It's clearly red. Yours is a deeper red. Mine is natural red. I don't know what the issue is. And we're totally derailing the project. Way to go, Colors. I'm having a conversation with John Longsbox, and I can't have nice things, right? I can't.
Right. But you know how it is. See, you used to live you were born and raised in New York? Because you got that Queens, New Yorker demeanor about you.
Yep, I was born and raised in New York. I never thought I would leave New York. I thought I was just going to
Most New Yorkers don't think they're going to leave.
I know. And then what happened? Something happened. Like, I kind of want to leave now. But it was tasting the small town life and how slow paced it is. And I was like, oh, what? That feels kind of nice. It's kind of like an opportunity to actually breathe and absorb some quality of life. I'm like, I kind of fell in love with that. So,
if you don't mind, do you want to tell us what state or what?
I'm in Pennsylvania. People know that. I live in Pennsylvania.
Okay,
I live in the northeast part of it, which is half rural, half urban, so it's like a bit of both. But I can go to any place in a good stream of time, and I don't waste the whole day. So it's
I grew up in Nassau County,
mm-hmm.
And then I spent my summers upstate in like the.
See, I would say the part of Pennsylvania that I'm in is kind of like Nassau County, just like that.
Yeah, and then when I started working I moved out to New Mexico for a couple of years. I was in California. I was in Northern California, Southern California. I've been all over the place. And
Yeah.
I stayed in Albuquerque for like a decade and back in New York. But when I went back to New York, I went to Queens, and I hated Queens. I just hated living there. But once you get a job, and everything's so expensive. I got rid of my car because I didn't really need it, so I traveled everywhere by bus. So I got like a good cheap lifestyle going for a long, long, long time. Then when I got to where I am in my job, I was able to move out to Suffolk in a house. You know what I mean? But
see, I depended on public transportation for a long time too. But then when I got my first car, I'm like, you know what? I like the independence. I remember the days having to wait a long time for a subway train, or worse, waiting for a bus, especially in the cold. And then once I got my car, I'm like, I don't gotta wait no more. I just hop my car in and out at my own time, and I'm good.
I remember like having to go food shopping in Queens was like an ordeal. We had to get a couple, like you had to go more often, like 2 or 3 times a week, because you couldn't carry all those grocery bags on the buses and everything like that. So it was just a pain in the neck. And then it's funny, when I moved out here, one of my Queens friends said, "How do you even go food shopping out there?" I was like, I take 2 steps from my house into the car. I drive right to the front door of the supermarket and park. And then there's super wide aisles. I take everything I want. I get as many groceries as I want, pay for them, go 2 steps into my car, drive home, and bring it into my house. I said, the whole thing takes like 40 minutes. And he's like, oh, because, how do you do laundry? Like in the basement of my house. I love doing laundry.
Yeah.
I every time I do laundry, I'm just like, I have a washer and dryer. It only took me 50 years. But I just walk around my backyard, just like I have a backyard, I have a little shed, and the shed's empty because I got people come and mow my lawns. So I'll stand in the shed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Man cave all over the place. Like I got my work study here. It's like, it's great. I mean, not great considering the circumstances. That's great. I'll say that.
Yeah. I can't complain. Like, and because we moved in the middle of COVID because Queens was getting weird. People, like my wife and I would walk around and people like, "Where's your mask?" I'm like, "I'm walking with my wife," and my wife would park the car and walk like 2 miles because nobody was moving, and people will pull it up to her. "You should be wearing a mask. You're killing my family." And she's like, "I'm walking by myself. Just don't come near me."
I couldn't imagine what New York was like. I've read about it, but like, it's dystopian. What I was reading about coming out of New York, I moved out at the right time, but I felt bad for any family and my son specifically who was still in New York at the time. So I can't imagine like the hysteria that was.
I was like, we got to get out of here because we don't know how long this is going to last, and it's So for whatever reason, like the market crash, we bought this house for dirt cheap at a nice mortgage rate, and I'm like, oh my God, why didn't we do that? And it's funny because like as soon as you buy a house, you're just like, I got to get a grill now. I lasted about 2 weeks in the house without a grill, and bought a grill, out in the back in the snow, cleaning the grill. It's just something we turn into our fathers. I'm the neighbor that opens up the garage, does some stuff for the garage, drinking a beer, playing Black Sabbath. I'm like, I'm the Black Sabbath neighbor now, blasted Black Sabbath, grilling in the backyard. I got a TV in the garage. It's the suburbs are the best.
Oh yeah. Even where I'm at, because where I'm at's kind of considered a ghetto, but still, it's like it's not one of the nicest ghettos I've ever been in because people leave you alone, and like I say, there's like a lot of places to go to downtown, and I got my yard, the birds singing, it's chill, it's quiet. I like it.
Yeah, I don't have a fire pit. That's something I would like to work on. My wife and I, we keep thinking like, do we fix up the house? Like, because this basement was a dungeon, and I fixed it all up.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, do we want to do more? Because I want to retire in like 3 years. Like,
so you want to wait till you retire and then do that,
right? Yeah, but we want to leave New York when I retire.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay, that's a good point. Well, you know what? Here's the thing: any repairs you do to it does add value to the house. So maybe look at it like that.
Yeah, that's what we're wondering. Do sell the house and as is, because already Zwillow is like doubling the price of my house since I moved in 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, that does.
You know what I mean? And that doesn't even take into consideration all the repairs and stuff that I've done. We got a new roof, the basement's finished. I put in a second bathroom, fixed the fence and everything. I didn't do anything. The new roof, just whatever. That was a big deal. But You know, I'm thinking we could sell this house and pay cash for like a house in Alabama, and I don't want to say.
I would recommend first getting the house where you're going to, and then selling your house, because the mistakes that, and I don't want to say too much about what I do for a living, except that the mistakes that many homeowners make when they sell their home is they haven't got the place they want to move into yet. So sometimes they end up homeless, or they end up having to rent, and it's like you went backwards. You should have waited to get your place and then sell your home. That way, in a way, it's kind of like monkey branching. So you want to go from one house to another. You want to have the other house you're going to first, and then you let go of the one you're selling.
Yeah. I was thinking of that. How do the people coordinate this? You know.
Yeah, definitely talk to a realtor for sure. But yeah, don't sell your house first.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then,
Yes.
Then where's the money going to come from?
Well, that's why you talk to a realtor, then you go from there. But unless you know for a fact that you're going to have a house that you're going to buy, that it's all locked up in stone. It's just a matter of just getting the money from the house you're selling to go to the house you're buying. Unless you have that actually down pat, don't sell the house first.
Yeah, and we also, I found a city that we're looking at, like the suburbs of a city. That one of these places don't tax your pension. Come on, Trump. You said you want to do away. If Trump does away with income tax, I don't have to move because I don't want to move. I love it here. But New York doesn't want regular blue collar workers anymore. It's not a place for retirees. And I don't want to go to Florida. I hate that humid weather. My wife is afraid of hurricanes.
Right.
We got so that was like one of the requirements, like no natural disasters, no taxing your income or your pension, and then within the price, the city came up, and I've been researching. Again, I want to be quiet because I don't need people like buying everything by the time I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you want to be low key about it because like with me, for example, when I bought my house in PA, it was the little known secret for a lot of New Yorkers. Then once I bought the house, once I got the mortgage, all of a sudden the prices started skyrocketing. I'll take double, triple the values of the homes within like 5 years. Wow, I came at the right time.
Vincenzo says, interesting. Speaking of grills, have I heard of carne asada? Absolutely. I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico for a decade, or 7 years rather. And asado, Argentina, believe it or not, while I was in New Mexico, there was a whole bunch of Argentinian barbecue places that were opening up, and they had these like little flags on, like there's a red flag and a green flag. You put up the red flag and they leave you alone. You put up the green flag, they come around and they carve the food right on your plate. Yeah. Oh my God, it was so good. And the waitress was so beautiful. My buddy Kevin he's like, I'm going to eat so much food until this girl goes out with me. I'm like, I don't think that's going to impress her. Just go talk to her.
Yeah, the simple art of conversation, it's really underrated these days.
Yeah. Oh man. I take it you're married?
Currently, no, I'm not married. I am with somebody right now, but I'm not married yet.
Dating right now?
Dating, yes.
My biggest fear is that my wife gets smart and leaves me, and then I have to go date again. How the hell do what are these? I work with a bunch of young guys, and these guys are just every weekend, every Monday, it's just we sit around at coffee break and they tell us the horrors of their dating life. Now, I understand that they're probably just as crazy, but man, it just sounds like a nightmare.
So I say a lot of young guys, I would say to them, listen, first of all, you want to check the background of the women you're dating. Don't think for a second because they're good in bed that they're going to be good wives. That is usually never the case. How they are with their parents is a factor. How they take care of themselves physically is a factor. If you're religious, if that's important to you, then you want her to be religious too, usually, or at least respect your religion. That's because if they don't agree with you, but they respect what you believe in, it's doable. But I would say to those guys, look into those factors first before you look into whether they're freaks in bed, because you're not looking for a freak, you're looking for a wife. And in order to find a wife, you want someone who's a daughter and a sister first.
Well, I'm 57. If I'm dating,
Well, if we date, okay. So take you and me. So we're kind of like near the same age range. So what I look for is someone who's had good relationship muscles, right? So someone that has been in a position where they've been good, loyal wives in their life, who have not slept around as much, and respectful. Someone who's respectful. Someone that understands and appreciates the idea of having a man and is appreciative of that.
And the apprentices, the guys at work, like and it's like a menu. They're showing me the phone. I'm gonna see this girl Tuesday. I'm gonna see this girl this way. It's like ordering Grubhub. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, you have a sector of the red pill community that's like, oh, you want to notch up a body count because women are into body counts. I'm like, I mean, maybe, but like honestly, if you're looking for a wife, then you're not interested in body count. You just want to first you want to be about yourself. You want to build yourself up because a good woman is attracted to a man that's about purpose, that is focus minded, you know, that has plans in place for themselves, whether it's short term, long term. Women are attracted to that because they see a man that's ambitious and is really about making moves, you know, or they're about a purpose.
You should start a relationship channel.
So, I mean, I could, but then I'd have to move away from the comic book stuff, which probably may be better long term. But I talk about it every now and then a little bit, you know. So, yeah, but the thing with the manosphere
got mad at me.
What's that?
One of the guys at work got mad at me. You know, right. It was one of those days where everything was going wrong, and I said something wise ass comment. Right. He goes, nobody likes comic books. He like that was his thing. Nobody likes comic books.
It's a niche thing, and honestly, like let's be honest, like comics can dry the woman. You know, like it's a hard sell. Like believe it or not, saying you're a 30-year comic book pro is not a flex. It really isn't. In the real world, nobody gives a shit. Like, oh, I draw comics. Like, what else do you do? So you know, it's a niche. So when I talk to people, and I tell them I'm in the arts. I tell them I'm in the arts, and then they get more specific. Well, I say, okay, I draw, you know, I write and draw comics, I take photos, things like that.
Me and my wife are happily married, so it's just like,
you
know, within 10 minutes of meeting anybody, I'm like, I don't care if they like me or not. I'm like, oh yeah, I like to make comic books and blah 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 blah, play board games. Yeah. Like, I just lay it all on the table, you know.
Yeah.
Either
I mean, you want to be honest. Yeah.
Absolutely. What about women that read comic books? I've always found them to be very, very rare. They're rare, and I gotta say, you know, I got married when I was 38, so I was not, you know, one of these guys that just I had a lot of girlfriends. Let's put it that way. The ones that read comics, they're interested in comic books, were like better quality women. You know what I mean? That it's some girls tolerated it. Some girls were like literally like, don't bring it up when we're with my friends.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. So
and the ones who said don't bring it up because they were crazy. They were they were nightmares. But I was young. Yep. Let's not forget checking if the lady is someone who raised by both parents or a single parent. Yep.
Big deal. That's a factor too. And even if they were raised by their single parent mother, if they have a good relationship with their father, that is a plus on their side. So it's how they are with both parents, whether they were raised by both parents or if they have a relationship with mother and father.
Yeah, I agree. You know, were your parents divorced? You know, I'm pretty boring when I think about it. I used to joke that if I ever became a rock star or a movie star or something like that, I'd be on the Johnny Carson show and be like, yeah, my parents were married. You know, I went to church. I went to Catholic school. I was a good student. You know, it's like, what do you want me to say? I don't got any scandals. You know, I can't fit in with normal society. All my friends are divorced and all, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about comic books. So, I just want to say I sent out a whole bunch of comics today. I think I said at the beginning. So guys, keep, and I'm going to try to get to the post office every day this week and be done. I'm a little behind, but this work schedule was killing me. But you got a comic on Kickstarter right now, huh?
Yes, this is my first 2 issues. This is a 12-issue miniseries. This is part of the Road Warrior Drake universe. This is Pumpkin War Patch, and this is a comedy action series. It's mature readers only, so there's a lot of not a lot of, but there's some some sexiness in there as well. You know, I play around with the independent freedom that I have. So I kind of do some callbacks like the earlier 60s comics, like the Art Crumb stuff, where they delved a little into the sexuality a little bit. So I'll be doing that with these 12 issues as well. But it's an action comedy. Each issue is its own self-contained story. But
that's a good idea.
Yeah, but it's going to connect each other to the very last issue. So if you're familiar with the story of Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star and his search for Yulia, this is where Pumpkin War Patch is in search of her lover Darius, who is a man who is currently out on the battlefield from another state fighting a war, and he himself finds out about his own unique powers. That gets explored in these issues. But along the way, she fights all these characters, and she encounters all these characters. So the idea is when I do a comic book, it's going to be drawings, but it's also going to have words. Like it's not going to be like you open up a page and like 2 or 3 word balloons and you're done in like a few seconds. No, it's you want to read. You open up a page, you want to read it, And what I've done is I've studied the older
book. It's words and pictures. Your people
correct. So
people,
like I study like the older comics where like you see how like they often play with the text, how the text becomes part of the imagery, and it's like your eyes traveling the entirety of the page because there's so much to read there. But as you're reading it, you're looking at the visuals and how the visuals help help move the words and how the words complement the visuals. So that's the approach I'm taking with the Pumpkin War Patch series. I started that with the Road Warrior Drake series, but now I'm going to go into that even further with the Pumpkin War Patch. So when you buy the books, you're reading and you're going to get a complete story, and you're going to be amused as you was amused by the Road Warrior Drake stuff.
Oh yeah, so you write, draw, you do everything, you letter it, color it, everything.
Yeah, everything. Yes,
that's pretty cool.
I do want to add because someone brought this to my attention, and I had to be very clear because I don't know if I was clear. I want to add, no AI was used in drawing this book. This is all hand drawn. Okay, whether it's by pen to paper or through digital through the Clip Studio, it's all hand drawn. No AI was used in the comic book itself.
You know what's funny? I'm pretty anti AI. I don't think we could beat it. You know, technology. Humanity doesn't have a good track record of stopping technology. You know, once that cat's out of the bag, it's here to stay.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean we should be cheering it on or whatever. But I think AI is gonna wipe out the arts. Like we're already seeing, like all the animators are gone, like a whole industry of skilled talent. These guys are out of work. We're going to see middle management come in, like, you know, if you're working for HR or an accountant or actuary, all of these people are going to be gone, like the accounts receivable, and you know, they're going to be
I think that will happen if people don't adapt. If it's just going to be a simple, I'm not going to do it, I'm boycott completely, then yeah, I think those people will get replaced. But I think the human brain can only the human brain can spot reality and fake in terms of the arts. So when it comes to like AI visual, I will say visuals, the human brain can spot the artificiality of it versus something that's
I was leading up to that. So there's a couple of things. I believe that within like the next 20 years, there's going to be really hard times in the States because we're going to have a whole class of, I hate to call them unskilled people, but people whose jobs they didn't produce anything. They managed other things, right, and they're going to be out of work. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole group of you know, we're bringing in third world people, Indians, Somalians, whatever, and they're doing all the low jobs that Americans don't want to do. But then those are going to be the only jobs that can't be done by AI right now until we build robots. Those are going to be the jobs. So we're going to have a whole bunch of Americans fighting against illegal, and it's just like, dude, you got to start voting correctly now. You got to think of the future. You know, you're not going to be working HR for 20 more years. That's going to be done by a computer algorithm. You're going to be out in the field. You learn to farm. You know, become a plumber, become a welder, become an electrician. Learn how to build houses. Those jobs are going to be the last jobs left. So anyway, but roundabout to what you're saying, I've been doing a lot of research for a comic book character. I'll bring up your campaign in a second because I like talking to faces. I'll bring it back. But I'm sorry to pontificate, but I've been watching a video about human inspiration and the manias, and he says that there's 4 types of manias. There's divine revelation, you know, that crazy guy that God's talking to him. You know, this was back. Plato was talking about this. That as much there's logic, there's logos, and there's mania. There's logic, and then there's just like mysticism, spirituality, inspiration that comes from nowhere. One of them is, he calls it erotic, not sex, but looking at beauty in the world inspires you. You know, when you look at your wife, when you look at your children. You know, another is when you look at art, so through poetry or sculpting or reading, and what was the other one? I think it was just through conversation with friends. Like I forget what it was. And then my point being is AI. I think AI could do logic. You know, I think AI could go A to B to C to D and come up to Z eventually, but I don't think AI is gonna have that eros, that inspiration or mania of like divine. You know, whether you believe in God or not. But how many times have you just been like, this idea just came fully formed. Like this sounds pretentious, but it's the only way I can describe it. I woke up one night with two complete stories that I wrote into comics. Where did they come from? They were complete stories from my subconscious dreams. And then, so get back to your point, but you said we're going to look at this art. I think right now it's a new toy. AI is a toy. Everybody, myself included, is guilty of it. You take a picture and you animate it. You want to see your mother and father handing you the turkey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's I miss my dad. But as fast as that toy, I kind of played with it for 2 weeks and then I stopped. But it bothers me when I see like Graham Nolan and Billy Tucci animating their characters. I'm like, dude, this is a bad slope for an artist to do. But I think we're going to get tired of it, and we're going to really spot the AI stuff. It's going to look uninspired, dull, and cookie cutter. So I think a roundabout way, I came to the same conclusion that you came. But I explained that so AI could copy being horny, being desperate, being sad, being ecstatically happy, having a mystical experience. And we can't discount that when it comes to art. So
and it's funny because you mentioned the thing you just mentioned. It reminded me of a scene in you've seen The Fly with Jeff Goldblum and Gina Goldberg. Yeah. Okay, so you remember how he tried to transmit objects from one teleporter to the other, and he talked about how the machine didn't understand the flesh, right?
Right.
And that's why like it would transport a steak, but the steak tastes artificial. And the point was that it didn't understand the organicness of humanity, of the flesh, as he put it. So the AI is operating the same way. It sees it, but it's not copying the nuances of it. It's not getting the nuances of it. So that's where you get, you'll get like the human brain will then spot it. It's hard to explain it, and I think science is still trying to understand it, but the human brain can spot the artificiality of the visual versus how is something coming from a human hand, because the human hand is flawed. So it is easy to spot the artificiality because the brain can relate to the flaw. We call it organic, or you can call it the craziness of the flesh, for example. So it's those things that we take for granted, when we talk about the artificiality of art and the organicness of when something is coming from the human hand.
Like the uncanny valley, like I never heard of that term like 4 or 5 years ago, and now it comes up all the time. When we see something human, but it's it's something not right about it. Like you see it a lot with early computer graphics. You're like I don't know about you, but I can't watch that the Polar Express. That's a horror movie. That cartoon with Tom Hanks, like that. They should just call that the Uncanny Valley. Is the name of that? It wasn't ready. The way they move, the way they look, and now I'm getting that one. I look at what's her name, Nicole Kidman, and I'm just like, she's like a real human, but I get the Uncanny Valley feeling from her because she had so much plastic surgery. She doesn't look normal anymore. And I think if there isn't a term for this already, but there's going to be some sort of uncanny valley for writing. You like, have you ever read? Oh, look at this article. Excalibur, that movie from the 80s. I love this movie. So I'm reading this article. Then by the third paragraph, I'm like, this is just a AI generated slop. This isn't an article. This, like you figure it out that this wasn't written by a human. It has no point. So so there's, I don't know, there's got to be a term for uncanny valley, the writing edition, the reading edition. And then I see like Richard C. Meyer talking about how he's going to crowdfund and he's going to use AI. It's like, you lost me, bro. You lost me.
Yeah. So right now we're going through a phase where, because AI is still new and the things that we can do with it is fascinating, people are all over it. But as we get more involved with it, we're starting to see the visual deficiencies of it, and now like, it's kind of boring now. Like, we can do whatever with it, but there's something missing about it, and it becomes boring. Now, this is where the people now start to adapt. If you're an artist, you learn to adapt. How do you compete with AI? Now, again, AI is a tool. It can be used as a tool, but there's a difference between using it as a tool and using it as part of your product. So this is where you got to really differentiate between, because I use the AI to promote, but I never use it to actually sell my stuff. No,
not me. I like I said, I loaded up pictures of my family. I I made my characters move around just because I thought it was funny, and then I'm like, what am I doing? But I want AI to do my taxes. I want AI to
do you though? Like, you really want AI to do your taxes? You don't know if the AI is being programmed by the government. Like, I don't know if I trust the automaton to do my taxes.
Good point. But you know what I mean? Like, I want it to do all the tedious stuff. I don't want AI to do, because again, like the word inspiration is the same, comes from it, the same word from spirit, perspiration, inspiration, the spirit, the Holy Spirit. It's all the same thing. And like, not to get like too theological over here, but it's like, we are made in the image of God, and the God is the Holy Spirit, and then the Holy Spirit floods us all with inspiration, and and then we just
that's what it's inspiration,
and just have a computer to do it. It's this. Once we take away the ability for humans to create, we might as well just be hamsters in a cage, just running around in that circle.
Right, inspiration. That's the word. Like, when you look at a movie or a piece of art that someone made, you're inspired by it, whether you're inspired by the story they're telling or the fact that it was made and how it was made. You lose that inspiration when it's you find that it's done by AI. And here's the thing with AI too. Like, AI used in the way that CGI would be used, to me, there's not much difference in that. That's why, like, I'm not 100% like against the AI, but because of its overused, that's like, okay, we gotta kind of start putting a line somewhere. Like, using it as product that's where the line should stop. Like I say, it's here, it's a tool. So the question is, how do you use it? How do you
time before I could write a script, and then that script is literally translated into, like you said, it's literally AI just turns it into a movie or a cartoon or whatever format that I want.
Right.
Now,
which
is AI? I don't think that is AI. That is literally me describing everything, and then an image. Like there's going to be movies in the near future, but like, as bad as that sounds, at least that's a human writing a script. And then
that's what there's a line. Like, there's a line, because that's why, like, I'm not correct. That's why I'm not 100% against it, because there is still an element there as a human being in terms of, like, you're directing the prompts to make something that you yourself are crafting. But then comes the ethical problem of, are you using that result, that product, are you selling that? Because now it's like, you got to disclose it to your customers. This is how I did it. You still want to pay me for it? And they're like, well, I can kind of do the same thing too. So there's that thing too. So
like, I've been fighting with somebody in our sphere, because he writes AI novels,
right,
and then uses fake pen names, and then puts them on Amazon. And I said, and he's like, I wrote it. I said, why are you using a pen name? I have to explain pen names. I'm like, are you hiding persecution? Are you afraid the church is going to get you? Like, are you saying something controversial that you're going to get death threats? Like, why are you using more than one pen name? Because you're tricking people. You're doing something shady. You know what I mean? Like, because nobody's going to buy the same novel with the same name. Phil Moskowitz wrote this book sucked. This was an AI generated slop novel. Oh, here's another Phil Moskowitz. I'm not going to buy that novel. I said, so you put another name hoping to trick somebody else.
Being forthright is vital, and it will bring down a lot of walls.
You're proud of it. Say, this is an AI generated novel by me. I wrote it in 4 hours. If you want to, then I'll have some respect for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Just be communicative and be honest. So, but yeah, I did want to put it out there that
I was, because when I was driving, now that I take the train, I'm not going to be doing it as much, because now I can actually read, because I don't have to pay attention to the road. But I'd put on Grok, and I'd talk to Grok, and I would give it the outline for a story, and it would just tell a story, and it would just be like a nonsense story, like it was like a typical A to B C D D, nothing. But like, should I just copy and paste that, call it a novel? No. It was kind of boring, rote. I don't know. I just don't like it.
See, that's why I kind of agree with you, because when it comes to writing, to me, when you write something, it's 100% from the mind and the heart. So like, you're just putting ideas that are coming out of your head, down to paper, and then once that's down on paper, then you go into see, okay, how can I refine this? I think, to me personally, I think if you write the whole thing out from the mind to the paper, and then you use like Grok to kind of like see what Grok tells you, then it's like, okay, well, Grok is feeding off your ideas, it's feeding off what you already put on there, so it's giving you an interpretation of what you wrote, and you could take from there and then add it to your story, whatever, and then it's still your story organically, versus like going to Grok and just saying, hey, make a story out of this, and then it's writing out the story. It's like, oh well, you know. So that was it. That's just me. Like I'm like, I write the whole thing out first, and then use whatever tools are available to refine the story.
The only AI I use is like the word perfect spell check, you know. And then I'm like, why am I even doing this? Because the artist is just going to draw it, and then you know the only words I need to spell right are the dialogue. You know? I've been hiring an editor to go over. And I said, please check my spelling. I only made 2 typos, and she found them and fixed them for me. I'm pretty impressed that I only had 2 typos. Yeah, you know, nice. There are no typos in the comic. I'm talking about the script, as opposed to my first script. That was just, I could have called my comic Typo the Comic.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's a good idea.
Yeah. There you go. That's and then nobody can criticize it. That's what
there you go. Speaking of criticism, like I'm actually gonna be doing a video soon on that. So a whole lot of stuff that I got to go into and talk about, because I've seen how in this space criticism is used as a weapon to the point where it's malice or malicious. And it's like, you know what? I think it's time to start calling this shit out, because just because someone gives you criticism doesn't mean they're not above being criticized themselves and how they deliver the message.
Well, there's criticism, and then there's just trolling. Like somebody sent me a clip of your buddy EVS showed. I had tweeted out, hey, all the digital copies for Rogue Tales 2 are sent out. Check your spam filters if you didn't get it. And then Johnny Rockets writes by, check your trash, because that's where it belongs. So I looked at that. I was like, I don't need this. That's
malicious. That's malicious, and that's sabotage.
Right.
And the thing is, a lot of creators have. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is me tweeting to my customers.
Right.
I don't need that. That makes, you know, so I blocked them because and then I retyped it because I want that to go to my backers. So then I see on Trashcast, he's like, and then he blocked him. You see, because he can't take criticism. And I was just like, that's not criticism, that's trolling.
So number one, I have about 20 minutes worth of material of Ethan not taking criticism. So that's a video in the works down the road. So that's number one. Number two, when I launched my Pumpkin War Patch Kickstarter, I put it on Twitter. I had some jerk come in there and replied, that art. And then I replied to him with a picture of Pumpkin War Patches winking, you know, just play along, whatever. And then it kind of, he got buttered. So I started to like go into like the book and how I, you know, it was trash, whatever. So I kind of, what I did was I went to that person's X account, his profile, and he was tweeting pictures that he did of a friend of his that is kind of similar to the style that I do, but, you know, little more abstract. But I was like, okay, can you critique this? And he wouldn't do it because it was his friend. So ultimately, when I called him on his hypocrisy, he blocked me for that. But then his friend came into the thread, and she was threatening, the DMCA struck me because I showed a clip of the artwork that he posted on his X. So I was like, these motherfuckers came into my thread that I was promoting my book and tried to sabotage me. So I deleted as much of it as I could, but I kept archive of it, and I'm going to put that in the video because to illustrate that criticism can be malicious, and it can be and a means to control you. And when that DMCA strike warning was issued to me, I'm like, you know, fuck that. Like, you know what? Now you're getting put on blast. But I had to sleep on it for a bit to see how I'm going to do this because I didn't want the drama associated with the launch of my book. So I waited for some time, and now I'm ready to work on that video and put it out there. But yeah, criticism in space is a weapon. It's malicious. A lot of people from
criticism, and then there's you know, like I can't think of the correct word, but like Katie did. For whatever reason, she decided she didn't like me after we got along, and she did a negative review of my comic.
Right.
I happened to be watching it live while she did it, and I'm commenting. You could look at the live comment. I said, I agree with this criticism. I don't think she was wrong. The only thing I thought she was wrong is when I said it was an all ages comic. She interpreted that to mean kids comic.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just because, and I'm not trying to be slanderous or anything. That's because she's new to comics. That, you know, that's a newbie.
Oh, no, she's a tourist. She's a tourist. That's not slanderous.
But I was nice about it. You know what I mean? Like, I said, you're just not familiar with bronze. I said, my comic is an homage to the Bronze Age comics. I said, you obviously, and I'm not trying to be mean when I said this to her. I said, you obviously weren't around for the Bronze Age. I said, the Punisher was going after sex traffickers and opening up Connex boxes full of children in bad positions. I said, Dark Phoenix went through horrible nonsense. And I said, Starfire was practically naked 3/4 of the time. I said, the Bronze Age isn't as innocent as you think it is. I said, so in the Bronze Age, you're not going to see it in my comic. I said, but that was just a misunderstanding. And she said, we're cool. I'm going to back your next comic. I guess the update came and I became a bad guy. But my point being is I thought she had honest criticism, even though we don't get along. There's other people that just trashed my comic who never had anything nice to say about me when I didn't have a comic. So I didn't even watch it.
So the people that came into my thread and were trashing my book, I told them, my inspiration is from the 60s underground comics. A lot of people in the space are tied and glued to the 90s era, which to me, I mean, I have my criticisms a little bit, but the point is that they're tied to that era, so they're closed-minded on other eras of comics, other decades of comics. So when you tell them that, oh, I'm more influenced by that era of comics, they look at you like you have two heads. In Katie's example, for example, she used to come into my chats when I would do my Indie Comic Out Live Thursday streams. She knew the style of artwork that I was talking about. She was familiar with my style. She actually bought my coloring book, and having seen the images in the coloring book, she liked my art style then. But once I was no longer good with EBS, now it's Alazmat's art sucks. I'm like, well, it didn't stop me from buying me and giving me money for my book. So I think you're kind of a hypocrite there.
Yeah. It said he's very open. He's down. He's down with the Rainbow Mafia. He's got his pink shirt on.
Red. It is blood red. I made a good point just now. You derailed it with this link. You're better than this link. You're better than that.
Yeah, I my character, the Patriarch, his color scheme is purple, white, and gold.
That was great. You know what was great about that moment is that people started coming out with all these characters in purple. It opened up a new conversation. It's like, oh wow, look. Now we're seeing the awareness of all these characters from all over time in comics and other fiction who wore purple. It was great.
Yeah, I just thought it was so funny. Lord of Chaos comic. I'm looking this up, but what's his name? Dan Lawless.
Yeah, Lawless. Oh gosh.
He goes every creator knows that you don't use purple for a male character.
For a masculine male character.
I guess Jack Kirby didn't know that when he used purple for Galactus. And then it's straw man. Oh, we were talking about heroes. No, the original statement was every comic book pro knows you don't use purple for a masculine character, except Magneto, Machine Man, the Phantom, Galactus. Annihilus, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But the funny thing is, and I can't find it now, is Dan Lawless's character has a purple cape, white costume, and gold trim. It's the same color scheme as Mike. So is he stupid? Is he?
I think so. I think he's naive. I think he's. I'm not being as nice because when Lawless and I went at it on X. I'll give him this. He wasn't disrespectful to me. He wasn't slanderous with me. So
yeah, we got a lot.
I'll give him that. Yeah, I'll give him that. I don't want to insult the guy. I'll just say I think he's tied to EVS to a point where he's defending these useless points that are easily debunked. I think he needs to step away and really just look at things from a more open mind because it's hurting his credibility. Right.
Well, he doesn't do anything unless it's being paid by one of the Comicsgate guys outside the He can't shit where he eats, But I was just the guy's been on my channel. He told me, you're on my short list of people that I want to have like on a comic book show where we just talk about comic books. And then he private messaged me back and forth. And I got to give him credit. We private messaged back and forth for about a week. I was presenting my case. He was presenting his case, and I understood his case, but he refused to listen to any. Like I had to produce every receipt in the world, and then he just blocked me.
Yeah,
but whatever. No big loss. But like he literally blocked me. Then a year later, the color purple debate comes up. Dude, I haven't thought about you in a year.
I think EBS knows him because as I showed in the video I did about you and how your boy Zach and all these others are coming after you. I think they have you in some kind of like a checklist, And okay, then Dan, it's your turn. Go. I think that's going on.
Well, it's funny because you made for those of you who don't know, Alazmat made a 10-minute documentary about me, and I didn't think it was organized until you. I was like, maybe it is. What did I say? You know, and then I made Trashcast a couple of weeks ago, going off on JDA for his use of and it was funny because they were very soft on me, like, oh, my main problem with John is he was too demanding. It's like you forgot everything else he ever said, but now I said something that you liked, so now, whatever. But
we're all tools when it comes to the trash cast and the upper elite in the CG sphere. We're all just tools for whatever agenda they're doing right now. So,
but I will state the record. The whole problem is because I criticized, not because if you watch that video, I think you showed clips of it. He invited me. He comes up to me. I was minding my own business at a party, on live on camera. He goes, "Hey, John, when are you going to come on my channel and promote?" And I said, "Can I?" I didn't approach him. It's on video. Right. Same night that he was eating garbage cake. And then 2 days later, maybe I thought I was too much like we were boys or whatever, we were buddies or whatever. Maybe I got that, a little too. But he said, "Who wants to do Trashcast this Friday night?" And I said, "Dude, last thing I want to do on a Friday night is talk about comics I don't like."
Right.
And he said, "It's important, John." And I said, "It's not important. It's not important." I said, "There's a restaurant around the block for me that's got bad food. Do you want to talk about it in 8 hours? Or do you want to talk about something?" And then he said, "I had it with you, always constantly criticizing me." And then boom, that was it. And then a couple months later, going off on Eric July. Now, I hate when I say this because I feel bad saying this, but I'm not a big fan of Rippaverse comics. But the Rippaverse fan base has been nothing but nice. "Oh man, it's gotten better. I'll buy this comic and send it to you." I'm like, "Don't send me comics. I'm not a charity case." You know what I mean? Don't.
Yeah.
And Chuck Dixon sent me comics. Mike Barron sent me comics. I got. So that's the response. I don't like this comic. Nothing but love and support. Oh my God, I'm going to win you over with my passion and love for this. And then I said, Ripper's not hurting crowdfunding. I said, Comicsgate is hurting crowdfunding. And I said, we, because I included myself as part of it, because at the time I considered myself Comicsgate. I said, we need to get together and have a come to Jesus meeting. I said, late books, poor quality books, over expensive books, and constant drama and negativity is hurting crowdfunding. Not Eric July. And boom, that was it. Oh my God! But nobody.
Yeah, you heard their narrative. You heard their cash cow. They need to have their narratives and push it in spite of the evidence. That's why now, like whenever they bring up the Eric July trash crowdfunding, I just reply with, "Well, here's my video debunking that," because straight out of Eric July's mouth, he called it a net positive. He's clearly going after specific people who abuse the system. It's not an attack on the system. It's a critique of the critique. The word they like to use, not on themselves though. A critique of the people abusing the system. It's clear as day.
Somebody says, "I'm lost. What's wrong with the color purple?" Is my character had purple as a major color scheme, and you can see him right over here, right there. Patriarch is purple cape. Yeah. So they were big. "Oh, he's purple cape, purple cape," like Magneto.
By the way, you want to highlight Walker Texas Rangers' comment about Gambit? I want to address that. Didn't want them to say Gambit was on the gate. Yeah, that was one mint salad who currently is now homeless and on the run because she's an idiot.
Yeah. Well, they were going after Gambit. Nobody uses pink. Nobody uses gold. When Dan Lawless's character, Agent of Law, that's his name. Now I can look it up. Agent of Law. I couldn't think of the name.
Yeah.
Agent of Law.
And Lawless was claiming that, well, I didn't color it, but that's still a character you drew. You worked on it, and you're not going to go out there and insult the character you helped work on because that's your cash cow. So,
right. So yeah. So you are a comic pro who used that color scheme. Here's the best picture that I could find. Keep talking while I. This up.
So since we bring up the whole thing with them, so like I said, with my interaction with Lawless, he was never disrespectful. I mean, there was one time where he kind of made a comment about me being.
I mean, look at that purple cape, on a white shirt, gold trim.
There you go.
And if you could see my character behind my head right over here, same thing. I didn't color it. Well, this is what puts you on the map. This is when you
I got your paychecks. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well.
Yeah, I just think like he's just attached himself to the wrong horse and he's stuck on there. I can't believe anybody is that naive, but I just think he's stuck on there.
And for the record, I like the guy and I like his art. I really do like, people bust his chops for having the same face. John Byrne had the same face too. That doesn't bother me so much.
Yeah. And again, I don't get worked up over things like that. Like people say Lawless draws the same face. Like, so what? That's his style. You look at someone like, say, for example, Fletcher Hanks. Fletcher Hanks had the same face on most of his characters. It's a nitpick, but it's not. I don't care.
George Perez, all the George Perez characters. If you didn't see the colors on the costume, and John Byrne did a goof on that when he was doing Wonder Woman. The original Justice Society got captured,
right?
And they were like, "We're going to take the weakest one out, and we're going to give the weakest one our demands, because if this guy goes nuts, we can slap him down." So they all decide that it's going to be Hawkman. So Hawkman comes released from the prison because everybody else is too powerful to. And then when he takes the mask off, it's Green Lantern, because it was John Byrne playing with the fact that they all look the same when he draws them.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah. That doesn't bother me. So.
Right. So that's just a comic book thing, whatever.
Yeah. I think people on all sides, it's not just the Comicsgate people, it's on all sides, nitpick art on a comic book, and it's like, I don't care about the small details. What I care about is does the art and the writing complement each other, and there's a totally good, fun story. That's what I look for in a comic. Am I entertained by it? I'm not going to be all kind of weirdo. And
said your comic was a 12-issue series, but each issue is self-contained.
Yes. So that way, when you're reading it, you're not left hanging. You're like, oh, the story that I read in this book is completed, but it's now leading to the next story. So
right, I think that's something very important, because I don't want to wait 5 years. I don't remember what happened in the last issue of X comic.
Right. And that thank you for bringing that up, because I do want to mention for the first 2 issues. First issue is done, but I'm going to retweak it a bit. But the second issue is scheduled. If I fund and I'm trying to get to 500, that's all I need to fund. If I fund, it goes to the print in January, and then February gets fulfilled. So there's no like intense wait time. And then in March, or later February or March, I begin work on the third and possibly fourth issue. So the goal is to get it knocked out ASAP.
Yeah. He wants to know, do all your ducks have different bills? Like all your ducks have the same face?
So I forgot to mention this to you, but the D word, don't use the D word. That's contractually, you're contractually obliged not to use the D word.
So why 12 issues?
Because to me, I wanted to keep like a number that I can set on, and 12 seems to be like a decent number, because it implies longevity, it implies material, and ultimately it implies an arc. So I said 12 is a good number. I try to keep it within the year, and I can continue working on my other project as well. So that's the reason why.
So you're going to do 12 issues in a year? So you're legit doing one a month, or am I missing?
That's the goal, but I'm not going to say up front that will happen. Like there may be a month or two where one issue will take that long. So, but I will be updating people as I go along. So
and like you said, this is your own art now. So people have been busting your chops with the art.
Well, some people have, like people that were not fans, but they put it out there, and I'm thinking to myself, these people would have an aneurysm looking at Aeon Flux. Like they really would. Like Aeon Flux, or like the older comments of like I think of like Archrom's the obvious one, but I think of like even someone like Jim Lawson. Like people look at Jim Lawson and they would freak out. Like Jim Lawson's artwork has been iconic with Ninja Turtles, And Good Night. I mean, Evie Smith and Laird, that goes without saying. Gary Panther. A lot of guys that have this unique style about them that is not conventional, but they're successful because the story they tell is what resonated with people, and the artwork serves that story.
I mean, I'm looking at your art. It honest criticism. It looks, it's not Marvel quality, DC quality.
Of course not. Yeah,
but I'm looking at this. I see early. You get a laugh, and people think I'm not blowing smoke up your butt. But if you got the early Doomsday +1, the early Charleston from like 1971, this is primitive John Byrne. So stick to the grind. Keep going. Yeah. Drawn 5 years from now, But But this is your comic. This is your style, and I have a clip that I should have put in here, but somebody's like, oh, look at all of this artwork. It's AI generated and it's garbage, and a true artist, and then they show his art, and it's him drawing Naruto, and it looks like fanboy version, and I just started laughing. I mean, this is your unique art style,
for this book, but I can do like life drawings as well. Like every Monday I do a horror show and I do life drawings. So I show people images. I should pull up some examples. But yeah, I have a range. I don't just I use this style for the comics because it's fun to draw that way. It's also an issue with time. Right. So I just like, this kind of story, I'm just gonna have fun with it. I'm gonna just have fun, draw the story, and people should just lighten up and like, I get stuff for everybody. Totally.
I'm a weirdo. Like this good board over here. It says One Punch Man didn't have great art. Yeah, I've seen the original One Punch Man art. It was interesting. I don't want to be mean, but
simplistic. I would say very simplistic.
Here's the thing. I know most comic book fans, and I admit that I'm the outlier here. I could get a comic that has wonderful art, and I just lose interest if the story and the storytelling is bad. And I have comics that I just read this week that I don't want to point them out. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. That I was just like, this is garbage. Well drawn garbage. Now, and I got a lot of 80s comics, 80s independent comics. They were poorly drawn, but they were interesting. So I'm more lenient. Is the storytelling good? Is it interesting? Did you have something to say? I want to say, but I got a comic just recently. The art is primitive, but the story and the premise is so good. I'm hooked. Yeah, and I can't wait to see where it goes, to the point where there's been 2 issues, and I'm eagerly chomping at the bit for the next issue. So my point, and I hope I'm not insulting or hurt your feelings, but
no, not at all. I'm honest about my style. I really am. People listen.
I look at this and I'm just like, okay, I can see why some people are busting your chops, but I'm going to back issue 1 and 2, and if I like the story, that's it. I want story. So here you're sharing something over here, and I'm being long-winded tonight.
So that's one of my life drawings. That's straight from Twitter. Yeah. And I sold my Godzilla drawing that I did.
I saw that too on Twitter.
Yes, and the Gilman I sold over the weekend. So I'm thinking with this, I'm gonna do a year's worth of this type of drawing, and then I'm gonna do a crowdfund of a encyclopedia film book on horror movies and use these drawings as visual aids for each movie I'm going to review. So
I see you do. Was it Monday nights? You do a horror show? Yeah. Am I keeping you from doing your horror show?
No, you're fine. I mean, I told people I might go overtime, whatever. So it's fine. It's fine.
I just want to point out, Arkham is doing. Your art is excellent. I wouldn't have asked you to work with me if I didn't really like your art. I could. Not to sound arrogant, but man, I every once in a while I'll say something about making comics, and I get like 60 people submitting terrible art. You know, and I got one guy. He wants $30 a page, and his art is amazing. And all I could think of is, this is a scam. He's swiping somebody else's art, So I'm really tempted to give him a super detailed page, 7 panels, super detailed. Pay him the $30 and see what happens. Just throw the 30. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, you got a trailer here. We can play.
Well, no. So the trailer's out because I'm tweaking it a bit. I get feedback from people. Okay. So I did like 2 trailers ready for it, and people were like, "Though you gotta show more of your artwork." So I'm like, "Okay, so let me go back and retweak it," because the first trailer was kind of. Yeah, so I'm tweaking the trailer right now. I do, believe it or not, I listen to feedback, and I do listen to criticism, and I try to make my work better to my people.
I listen to criticism. I don't listen to trolling.
Correct. Right.
Yeah, trolling.
So there's a difference. So
yeah. So we talked about this for an hour already, but you didn't tell me what the comic is about. So
Pumpkin Warpath, right? So she's a character from the Road Warrior Drake book. She grew up with Drake. They're like kind of like adoptive siblings, and she discovers her own unique powers throughout the course of Drake's journey. An incident occurs in the second graphic novel, Beast Citizen Road Warrior Drake. If you haven't read the book, I won't say what the incident is, but it caused her to go out into the sidelines, and hence that begins her journey here in these 12 issues, where she becomes she fights the bad guys, but she kind of finds herself lacking a purpose and wonders if there's a world outside of Skullkill, specifically her heart longing for Darius, a man who she grew up with, who she was in love with, but Darius was sent off away to fight a war in another state. So knowing that, she says, I need to go seek him out and get out of Skullkill and find my purpose outside of Skullkill. So the 12 issue story is the journey of her finding Darius, but as she finds Darius, she's also finding herself, refining her powers. While that's also happening, Darius is also finding more about himself, and that leads to a climactic last issue. I won't say much more about it, but there's a journey where both characters are discovered themselves upon finding each other. Will it be a happy ending? That remains to be seen. But in each book, she's encountering people and she's encountering these circumstances. It's guaranteed to make you laugh. It's guaranteed to just make you to freak you out and just like, what the fuck did I just read? Kind of thing. So the idea is for you to have fun reading these stories up until the final 12 issue. And the goal is with each book, you'll come away satisfied with the story, but the collective arc leaves you satisfied knowing that you've known this person and you've completed their journey with them.
I'm trying to do the same thing because, you know, I did 2 comic books in 12 months, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't want to leave people hanging, but I think that's a good model for crowdfunding is give everybody a good, satisfying, complete story.
100%.
But if you build on it, that to me is the best thing to do. Like I don't want to do a 6-issue arc, 1 comic a year. Nobody's going to care.
Correct.
Nobody's going to care. Right? You know, people are going to leave. People, you know, and just the way comic books are, the second issue always sells less. You know what I mean? So
yeah, just
give people a satisfying one. So you know, my next campaign is Patriarch #1. What if I get new people? They're gonna be confused because they didn't read my other 2 no, they're gonna get a satisfying, complete story.
Yeah,
and then hopefully they'll want to back my others. I don't know. That's the way I think crowdfunding should be. Hey, you got a backer. You got
nice. Thank you. Whoever backed it, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Like I said, I just need 500.
You know that you owe me now, and you can never say anything bad about me. You know, if
I never do. I never think. I always expected.
You get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, totally, absolutely, 100%. No, I listen. I'm a good.
I promoted you. I promoted you. I'm gonna cry now.
No, don't worry. I believe you. I appreciate it, and
to small fries like us, every penny counts.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
So, I can't see this. Do you have a goal?
So the goal is 500. So
I'm
today's backing, I'm halfway there now. So once I get to $500, I fund it on Kickstarter as per Kickstarter's rules, and then you know, it'll be guaranteed to go to the printers in January and fulfilling in February.
Oh, cool! And I can get issue 1 and 2,
both of them. If you back both, you get both. 100%.
I don't know how many times people just only put the 1 issue. You got to let comic book people catch up. You know,
absolutely, 100%. That's why, like, when I do the crowdfund for issue 3, I'm gonna have issue 1 and 2 in there as well for people that didn't get it the first time. So
right, yeah, that's good. I had one guy on my channel who's just like, nope, you didn't get issue 1 and 2. You're not going to be able to. That's not fair to my 1 and 2 backers. I'm like,
see that you want to grow your audience.
I'm in on issue 3. I want to know 1 and 2. Have you met a comic book collector? You know, like how many?
Unfortunately, a lot of comic artists are not business minded, so it's like you want to grow your base. So like,
you missed about the one of Breaking Bad. We're never rerunning it, so you can never. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So, is Drake coming back too?
He will actually, because I own the trademark, so I have to keep him in print. So the plan for Drake is either I'm going to do 1 issue next year or an issue and a coloring book. And they're all going to be canon, by the way. So they're not going to be like outlier story. They're actually in canon with the universe. And then I'll be writing the 3rd graphic novel, which will complete the trilogy in terms of the graphic novel arc. But I'll be doing like floppies every here and there, just A, to keep the trademark alive, and B, to tell a fun story of Road Warrior Drake. So
I just realized I was backing, and I realized I was sharing. So nobody needs to know my credit card information. So there we go.
Well, if it means that I was too busy talking, so I didn't notice anything, so don't worry. So Drake is, and by the way, Drake is not mentioned in the Pumpkin War Patch comics because I'm trying to keep it separate in terms of tone. So Pumpkin War Patch is more mature audiences. So as a result of that, I didn't want to get that connected to Drake in the name, but it's clearly connected to universe, and the events that occurred in Beast Citizen Road Warrior Drake are alluded to throughout the series in the Pumpkin War Patch, but without mentioning Drake.
Okay. Yep. I was just back in it. I just wanted to make sure that my credit card information was not being shown. But there you go. There you go.
Nice, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And now after this conversation, now I have more of an incentive to make sure that.
Well, I just back because now that means I own you and control you. You know,
oh shit, you're right.
It is. You know, when
I do.
Somebody promotes you, you owe them a slave debt, like Chewbacca. You're now my Chewbacca.
Whackers.
Yeah. As a side note, I've grown to hate Star Wars now that I brought it up. I didn't realize it as a kid, but Chewbacca didn't get a medal when Han and Luke got the medal. Even C-3PO and R2-D2 got cleaned up. Chewbacca got nothing, and he cheered. He would, didn't get the medal. And then when Han Solo dies, Rey gets the ship and Chewbacca, like he's just an accessory. So Chewbacca might as well have been a droid. So
yeah.
Chewbacca was a slave, is my point.
Yeah, well, it's racism. He didn't get a medal because it's racism. It's all racism. I'm tired of it, and I'm an activist for that.
Yeah, I do think that in Star Wars, because they established that they're slaves in Star Wars. So I'm starting to think that Chewbacca was a slave.
Poor bastard. Yeah,
he had no rights, like a droid.
They passed him on, and who knows what they did to him behind the scenes. Poor guy.
Poor Chewbacca. Yeah. I hope I am having a blessed day. I am back to a normal schedule. I feel like a human again. I can interact with decent folk. We were talking about that at the beginning. So anything you want to say? I mean, I pontificated a lot talking about philosophy and mania and inspiration. I didn't give you really a chance to talk as much as you should.
Well, sorry. So that reminds me, I took my fault off. No, but I mean, there's a lot of good points we brought up, and we kind of had similar experiences with Critic or Trolls or Lawless, all these guys. So we kind of had similar experiences. I'm kind of like behind the scenes with certain things. I hear certain things. I'm like, okay, what do I do with this information? Some of it will come out, some of it won't. I am currently working on my Dungeoneers documentary, so I'm compiling a lot of receipts on that. Yeah, I'm doing a documentary on the Dungeoneers. I'm doing one on the CG Unity stuff. That one's gonna be fun because I'm gonna be going back to the comics of yesteryear that did crossovers and had these all these weird ideas. It's like I want to show people what worked, what didn't work, and then go into the failed path that this one is going on. So that'll be a fun one to do.
I mean, it's hypocritical to say what I'm about to say, but why even talk about CG anymore? Like literally, the most exciting thing in CG right now, it's not comics. It's the fact that some people were kicked out of a chat group. Can you imagine 5 years ago if you said that was the most? Oh, some people were kicked out of a chat group. Who gives a crap? If you didn't tell me, I wouldn't know. It does. And these two people broke up. That's the hot topic. Not my comic book characters, not your comic book characters, not his comic book characters. Not we got a movie deal. Not there's a cartoon coming out. Now we got a cool toy coming out. The fact that some asshole got kicked out of a chat group and two other assholes broke up. Wow, there's Comicsgate. I'm so proud to be a part of this counterculture that's going to replace the mainstream.
And that's all embarrassing, and it's all a black eye on any comics. No, but to answer your question, why am I talking about it? It goes back to the comics. That's why I talked about with the CG Unity stuff. I want to reference the crossover comics of yesteryear that did work. Even like the films that feature crossover characters, because that's fun to talk about. But the thing is, nobody really watches that. That's not what's tasty. But if I just talk about that in conjunction to some of the more tastier stuff, like the failedness of the CG Unity stuff, people are going to now see the stuff that did work, maybe revisit it and say, hey, you know what? Now I see why these people are getting criticized the way they are, because they're full of drama and they're not focusing on the talent. They're not focusing on inspiration, aspiration, storytelling, characters. I think one of the biggest films of Comicsgate is more conversation about the creators and less about the characters and the stories. The fact that we're in 2025 and we're not doing videos on Cyberfrog's journey because its storytelling sucks and all this other stuff is a creative failure of CG. It's a lesson. And the thing is, if someone who isn't tied who isn't doesn't have a bias to it, if that person isn't telling the story, a different story gets told and all this stuff gets erased and the lessons from it get erased.
Right. Like what's his name? Why can't I think of the guy's name? But he was saying, I know more about Yaira and Isom because you talking about him, and I know nothing about your characters. And it's absolutely right. I want to talk. I remember that, yeah. Anybody want to be bored? I'll talk about my characters for the next 3 hours. My poor wife will love it if I stop bothering her about my story ideas and characters and bore you guys for 3 hours. Give her poor woman a break. But that's all I want to talk about because I'm excited about it. You want to talk about Pumpkin Cat, you know what I mean? And Drake. Whenever I have anybody on the channel, you could just see in their face they're waiting for me to shut up so they could talk about their characters, their stories.
Here's the sad thing, though, is that and this is a reality that we have to face as artists and creators in the space. Not many people will show up to hear you're talking about your characters because they find it boring, unless you've been in this game for so long and they're invested in your characters. So you got to find a way to bring up something that's interesting, and then you go into talking about your story because now you tie it into that. So it's a skill of being able to snatch and capture an audience who is anxious to hear what you got to talk about in terms of your story because they've already invested in your viewpoint and opinions on other things. So that's the conundrum that artists face in this space. So yeah, I would rather go on stream and talk about my characters, talk about art, showcase my drawing and draw stuff. And I kind of do. I don't really stream about the drama stuff, but for me to get the 50, 60 views,
I knew we were gonna when you were coming on.
No, that's fine. I mean, I'm okay with that because like I said, we've had some experiences and people want to hear that, which is fine. But the reality is, I get maybe 20 live viewers when I do my comic book stuff and I draw, and I get 20 views, which is fine because they engage in the chat. But if I want 50 or 60 viewers, then that's when I go into the drama stuff. Then I'll get easy. Actually, I can easily get 100 because of my ties to Lord Raptor Jesus. So if I fire up a stream and start talking shit about anybody who, like one of the higher guys, I can get 100 live viewers easily. But the thing is, out of that 100, I'll be lucky if maybe 10 would have backed my book. And I'm like, is it really worth getting 100 live viewers and talking about crap that is not inspiring or aspiring just to get 10 backers? Like, I don't know how I feel about that. And honestly,
it wears on my soul. Like, but even my wife says, she goes, "Oh, now that you're just talking about your comic book, you're in a better mood."
Mm-hmm.
Like I got caught up in drama and I was fighting with people and I was just angry, and and I'm like, what am I freaking talking about? My wife even said, "Go back to watching board game videos. You were happier then." And I'm like, yeah, you're kind of right. You're kind of right. So I don't talk about. And get back to what you said about views. So I'm trying to remember, but some marketing guy said, if you're on YouTube and you're selling a product, whatever that product is, count on 10% of your subscribers to buy your product.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I have less than 2,000. I got 1,900 subscribers, but I sold well over 500 copies of my first book. According to the numbers, I should have sold just under 200. So I think I did pretty good for a small fry. And then my second comic, I still did over. I should have only have sold less than 200 copies, but I sold over 200 copies. Not as much as the first, but so I don't know. I guess my point is, I guess people want to talk about comic books. If they're watching my channel, they at least know that it's going to be nerdy comic book stuff every once in a while.
Which is why I'd rather live stream to 20 people and talk about the art and the comics and all that stuff rather than 100 talking about drama. So
you come in here, we talk about comic, and then all of a sudden I bring up like oil filters for your car. You know what I mean? Like people, I don't want to buy this. You guy talks about comic books. So I don't know.
Yeah, the key is trying to connect it. Like when you bring up, say, you talk about changing a filter in your car. How do I bring that back into the comics? Oh well, when I was changing the filter, I thought about a part in the story where so and so does this, and like, oh, that's where I came from. So,
So, I wanted to ask you this, and then I distracted myself, which I do often. You said that this your comic it's humorous.
Yeah.
Do you find it hard to write humor?
So no, because I tap into I look into my so I get trolled by my fan base. They talk about the shape of my head. They call it a peanut head, things like that. They troll me, so I react a certain way because it's all theatrics. So I take the absurdity of my theatrics and I'm like, what is the most absurd thing I could do with the story? Oh, okay, I'll put that in there. There we go. And then I try to, because that's how I do my stories. I don't just write it traditionally like from A to Z. I go A, then F, then G, and then something happens and I'm like, wait a minute, what happens if I added this thing? Okay, I'm gonna go and put it here in B. And then it's like, this is weird and I love it because it's just out there. So
well, that's something that AI I don't think we'll be able to replicate. I think AI just uses a logic chain. Second off, I tried to write something funny, and it's not funny. Horror and comedy are timing. And, I think I could do horror. I think I haven't yet, but I think I could. Wait do you read the second Mary Sue story? That's a horror comic. I didn't realize it.
Wow.
But that's a horror comic. But I'm trying. Matt Barr and I are hashing out the ideas for a humorous comic. And man, am I nervous. First off, Matt Barr is so freaking talented. I don't want to give him anything bad. Second off, it's hard to be funny. It's really, really hard. Like, I'm coming up with a scenario, and then the humor has to come out of this bizarre. Oh man, it is rough. I'm sweating on that. That is a tough one. So I applaud you if you could do comedy and actually make people laugh.
And I was nervous at first when I did Street Champion Road Warrior Drake, because I was afraid that people wouldn't relate to the jokes in the humor in the book. But those that I've read, I said, "Oh, this is pretty funny. I get the art now because the story is absurd." Then the second book, same thing. I was concerned that people would not see the humor in what I was telling. And Bat Sauce himself said he was amused by the book. He's like, the art makes sense now when you read the story. It's like, I had fun reading it. I'm like, oh yes, that's good.
He's a good writer. He's a good writer too. It's a good compliment. Yeah.
So
it's hard. I mean, Mary Sue 1 was a sci-fi horror. Oh, you got it already. Good. Yeah. It had some horror elements, and it was definitely sci-fi. The second one is even more horror, if you ask me. Why do people think your pit video isn't valid? Because it embarrasses people. The truth is embarrassing, so therefore they can't say he's a liar. So they say it's not.
The people referencing CG because they have something to hide. I mean, look, I've already talked about my response to Dale Keelan's video about his response to my doc, and I already put it out there and said none of them have disproved the information presented in the docs. That tells me that it's all valid.
Right. When I said CG is hurting crowdfunding, nobody said I was wrong.
Right.
No, nobody said I was wrong. They said, I don't even want to repeat some of the things that they said. I was needy, dude. I was including myself. Now you can go hang yourself as far as I'm concerned. We said Bat Sauce, so he showed up. Do you say the dialogue out loud to see if it sounds good?
Yeah, I do, because you want it to be organic. Like, you don't want to just read something and it just sounds like it's manufactured, or if it sounds weird. Like, in a comic, you want the reading to be fluid. So you want to read it for yourself, see if it sounds fluid, and if it doesn't, okay, then most likely people will find it fluid. Now, obviously, that depends on the person themselves, but you kind of want to, at the very least, see if you can find it fluid. So yeah.
Dialogue is tough. My process is I write a full script.
Yeah.
I send it to my artist, and then like, each artist is different. Like, Renzo wants as much description as possible, and I understand that because he doesn't want to do rewrites. You know what I mean? So he doesn't want to do redraws. If he could do 10 pages in a week, that's more for his page rate. Other guys are killing themselves on every page because they're just professionals and they just want to make it look. A couple of guys I was working with are doing it for fun. They don't even care about the money. So man, I was like, dude, it's perfect. Just submit that page. No, I can make it better. But then I get it back, but it's always different. It's so then I got to rewrite the dialogue, and I hated that at first, but now it's the funnest part. Okay, here's the art. It's colored. Now I got to reinsert the dialogue, and a couple of jokes that I wrote, I had to take out because the art didn't support the humor. But that's fun. Yes, and humor is situational. Like, what you find funny, what you find sexy, and what you find delicious, those are all personal. Like, whenever somebody says, man, I didn't find that funny, I'm just like, well, what do you want me to do about it?
Which is why I'm okay if someone sees my book and says that's not for me. I'm like, that's fine. That's good. Because that means that you're not an organic follower, and that's fine. That means I don't got to worry about you backing it, and I got to owe you something down the road for backing it. I'd rather people look at it and say they like it or they don't. Because if they like it and they see it and they're willing to put the money on it, then it's like, okay, then that's somebody that I'm going to cater towards because they get my style. So I'm okay with having a small fan base if they're legit fans of what I do, versus growing a fan base that's just there just because some fat dude in Jersey said, hey, back it because he's one of my favorites. It's like, it's not. I'm okay with not you backing me if you don't like it. I'm not gonna take it personal. It's fine.
Well, I want everybody on the planet to back my book, whether you like it or not. But I want everybody who backed my book to like it, because I like it. This comment over here, this finishes a thought that I had earlier that I probably say eloquently enough. But Alazmat comics are basically classic South Park. Now, again, don't take this the wrong way, but when South Park came out, I remember I was living in Albuquerque, and we all just sat around and made fun of the art. Look at this freaking art. But it's basically the same art, but it's written so well. I don't know. I haven't seen it in the past 5 years. That we don't even notice the art anymore. It's well written. It's funny. It's poignant. You know, they got great points. You know what I mean? Like the art. Yeah. Nobody talks about the art of South Park anymore. And let's just back up and look at the art of all the cartoons. It's terrible art in South Park. Now, I'm not saying art is terrible. I'm saying if your art, your art is different. It's unique. It is what it is. If the writing is good, nobody's good. That to me is the golden ticket.
Exactly. It's all, like you said, it's all in the writing. That's why I specify not just the comedy and the action, but I specify each book is its own complete story, because I want you to be rewarded at the end of that final page in that book. I don't want you to feel like, oh, that's it. Like, like what's going to happen next? And it's like, no, that story that's being told is completed. But now we go on to the next story to continue the journey of her long-term goal.
Because if you're making a comic book and you don't have a story and you don't have storytelling ability, the connective tissue from panel to panel, just make a calendar. Just make an art book. You know what I mean? So many. I thought my cat was next to me. So many crowdfunded comics are forgetting. Yeah, you could draw well, but this is a boring, terrible, I don't understand what's going on book. And last time I criticized somebody's book for the storytelling, I became public enemy number one for a movement based on customer service and fan reaction.
And criticism.
Yeah, and taking money and not delivering the product hurts any business model. Absolutely. Why are we even discussing this? You know what I mean? It's common sense. It's common sense. That's the next sentence. Anybody who tries to spit it as a success is just gaslight. Absolutely. Absolutely. Pro tip 6-7 probably won't be funny. I do think that comedy, I think Chuck Dixon, he was probably quoting somebody else. I wear my inspirations on my sleeve. When it comes to writing, I go to Mike Barron, I go to Chuck Dixon. Two guys who praised my writing, and then I got other comic pros in CG making fun of me. It's like, dude, you hire these guys. And these guys say I'm doing a great job, but my narrative is off. So whatever. But anyway, comedy doesn't travel over time and distance.
Comedy is topical. It really depends on that particular generation era.
I'm going with this.
Yes. Well, let me hear you. I don't want to assume. So,
a parody comic making fun of woke.
Oh, that comic. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was supposed to come out this year. Last year, he still come out last year. This year,
4 years ago, when it was topical. Nobody. Are you going to make a comic book making fun of Obama right now?
Oh gosh, I mean it's
over. I got this funny joke about Bill Clinton getting sucked off of the White House. I'm going to make a comic book about it. It's too late. I'm going to make 4 more years Richard Nixon books. Too late. You want to make a comic book a parodying something? It's got to be timely. It's got to be timely. Yes. So
you could parody something that is current, but like you said, you want that current thing to be timely. So the goal is to take that current thing and make it so that 10 years from now, someone will look at it and they'll laugh at it.
Right.
Not very few can accomplish that.
Because 6 years later, nobody's going to get the joke.
Correct.
I'm going to make a joke goofing on the Matrix now. Dude.
Yeah.
All of those the Wayans brothers spoof movies. They came out like 6, 7, 8 months after the movie they were goofing on. Like you had to, you know what I mean? Can you imagine making like a spoof Star Wars now or something like that? Let's make fun of Disney's Lion King. It's too late.
The era coming up to the Spaceball sequel, so that is happening.
That's gonna be terrible.
I'm hoping not. I really hope not, but you never know. You never know.
What are they going to call it? Like the ball drops or something?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, we talked about One Punch Man. He had terrible art, but his story was so damn good. Yeah, I think even people who say like, "Oh, I just want good art," I do think they don't realize how much they want a good story. And
yeah, no, they want to read. Yeah,
I went on record saying I didn't like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for purely emotional, stupid reasons. I've been corrected on that. But when I looked at the original Teenage, I was like, this is garbage art. And I never bought the comic. And then later on, I was like, they're making fun of Frank Miller. They're making fun of the X-Men. They're making fun of comic books. And I was just like, and then the more popular they got, the more I dug in. And I got to say, I finally broke down, and I'm up to issue 5, I think. They're excellent. The story is so well written. Even though.
Yes, I'm not listening. Go ahead.
Here we go. Yeah, I'm up to issue 4, first printing. Issue 4. I'm still not a fan of this art, but I love the comic. Yeah, there you go.
I just bought this this weekend. Yes.
Now I know people are going to jump down my case, but it's I don't know, but it is better than the first issue. The first issue, they showed April O'Neil. I'm like, that's a woman. They're getting better and better. But But
here's the thing, though. You have demonstrated that the art is such a conundrum for you because the story is well written that people are not having that conversation about it. I would posit that the art was good and the story sucked. No one would talk about it.
Right. That's where I was leading. Look at it. Look at early Image Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Look at early Image Comics.
Yeah.
I challenge anybody to read Prophet and tell me what happened. Hell, read Pitt and tell me what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a problem. And even like modern indie comics today are aping that formula. And it's like, okay.
Right.
I'm scratching my head. Like, okay. And there's a lot of great art in the space, but the storytelling, a lot of these indie books are kind of like, they're shit. The writing is shit. It's like,
and then they goof it on one of these guys. Oh, writers are a dime a dozen. Well, you know what? Put your hand in your pocket, pull out a handful of dimes, and get a good script for your cup, because your art's not bad. If you know what I'm talking about, and I got crap for saying that it was unreadable. It didn't make any freaking sense. And you got, I know a couple. Oh, he's just a writer. Well, it's a comic book. It's a comic book. You need both.
Yeah.
And between a $35 comic and the art's fine. Most of these comics, the art is fine. But the story is so bad. It's going to be Image again, and people are going to be like, "Dude, I just don't care. I just don't care." Put out a calendar. Nobody's complaining about Anna. They got a hot girl in a skimpy bathing suit. Put out a calendar. Nobody cares the calendar's late. They just want to look at the pictures anyway. Just do that. Pose your characters with the lightsaber, shoot the laser beam. Don't even have a pretext of a story.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then again, you mentioned the arc in the first issue. Like a lot of panels is just like close up of the faces, not really detailed, and it's just that. It's like kind of visually boring, but it flows well with the story. So it's like that's what people gravitate towards. And the simplicity of the art also helped with the universality of it. That's why again people were able to like relate to it, because there was enough detail to know what you're looking at, but not enough where you couldn't put yourself in that position and just relate
about
to
the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
and the funny thing about the Ninja Turtles is it was black and white, and you couldn't tell if they didn't have the weapons in the hand. You didn't know which turtle they were by looking at them.
Yeah,
but they gave them personalities. They gave them little quirks. I gotta say, I fell in love with the comic. Like Tonic Bowl was like, you're making comics and you never read Ninja Turtles. Like he shamed me into reading it. And I'll admit when I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Ninja Turtles is a good comic.
Yeah. No, I read the first issue, and I mean, it's not groundbreaking in terms of storytelling, but it's fun, and it did pave the way for like, it became a $1 billion franchise for a reason. So something magical about the Turtles inspired people to do their own versions of it, or the idea or the concept behind it, and make something of their own. So it clearly did something right.
Turtles to me are the Velvet Underground of comics. And here's my thinking. The legend is that the Velvet Underground, Lou Reed's first band, came out in the 60s, and they only sold like 1,000 copies. But like everybody who bought those records started their own band. The original Ninja Turtles, I think there's only 300 of the first edition or 500 of the first edition. which is why it's like $30,000. But everybody who bought that was like, man, I can make comics too, and then they reprinted it, and it inspired everybody.
They wanted that lightning in a bottle, like, and I think like in that particular comic, like, you go to, like, you say you're on the subway, you're coming off from a long day of work, and you pull out that comic, and it feels right. It feels gritty because you live in a gritty area, so it just feels right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to be in this field. I wish there was. I wish everybody would take 2 steps back. Like, do you want to make comics, or if you want to be a YouTube personality, be a YouTube personality. Making YouTube drama about me,
right?
It's like, dude, I got less than 2,000 subscribers. Like, is this what you want to do with your life? Is this how vapid everything? Like, I almost feel bad. It's like this.
Yeah.
You have no other skills. You have nothing to offer. Like, I don't even want to talk about me.
Yeah, I get it. It's like when you become the focal point, it's not fun because you lose the inspiration and aspiration. It goes back to that. Is you want people to, if you're producing a book, you want people to be inspired to buy your book, and you don't want to talk about the other stuff, the drama and all this other degenerate shit that's associated with CG, because it'll bring in a different audience, but not one that's inspired to buy your book. So you're left basically with tumbleweeds once you hit that end the stream button. So it's like, okay, well, I mean, I had fun engagement, but what did I accomplish really? You accomplished nothing, because it's not like people are going to go back on that stream and watch it for like hours on end every day from going forward. They're going to watch it. Yeah.
On Trashcast, they talked about me for like 20 minutes because I freaking nuked JDA from orbit. Everybody agreed that I was right. They're like, wow, look at this. He's really So I think when I talked about how Comicsgate is hurting comics, I think I dropped the bomb and hit ground zero. Boom. It's the absolute truth. What? I'm lying over here, but I'm telling the truth over here? No, I think that's why I was targeted, because I'm uncompromising. I'm too much of a retard to play nice with people. If I see something wrong, I'm going to call it wrong. And one guy I wasn't too happy with, and I let him know that I wasn't too happy with him personally. Another guy I still considered on my team. And then it got nasty, real nasty, like childish name calling. I never called the guy Evan. One time I was just in a bad mood, and when Richard Embry was on, I just was nastier than I should have been. But I kind of regret doing that. I kind of regret the load that I got.
I mean, there are things that we've done in this space that we kind of regret. I mean, I've done things I regret. I mean, we're human, so I think as long as you acknowledge that and you make amends with people, move forward. I mean, you should.
I'm not apologizing. I just ain't doing that.
Right. No. This is. I mean, not even apologize. It's just that you acknowledge that shouldn't have done that. I should have did this. I think that's enough. I don't think you should have to be like, oh, forgive me. Like, that's
what bothered me was people that I defended were all of a sudden repeating these stupid childish first grade humor names. And part of me also sees EVS's point, because I got people that and I'm nobody, and people like, hey, can I come on your channel? Can I come on your channel? And like, sorry, I can't.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And
you're an asshole. I didn't want to come on your channel anyway, and now they're on Twitter talking bad about me. I'm like, dude, you were begging to come on my channel, so I know that happens.
Yeah, and not everything EVS says is wrong. Like, he does have some wisdom. Wait. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, but look, not everything EVS says.
That's the point. Is if he didn't mix in lies with the truth,
right,
he would have lost everybody. That's exactly his craft.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's very sneaky. It's like he knows how to manipulate the narrative. He knows how to take information and twist it and put it in enough truth. Right, exactly. So, and he's good at that. But as I said before,
middle ground between truth and lies.
Right, and that's it, because not everything he says is wrong. Like, there are some nuggets of truth he does reveal, but he mixes it in with his nonsense, and now all of a sudden you're thinking that everything he says has wisdom and value. And it's like, no, and unfortunately, no, it takes a discerning ear to pick that apart. But I know exactly what you talked about in terms of like bringing people onto your stream, and that's why I stream alone now these days, because I don't want people derailing my stream, and B, I don't want people to like hold me to something. It's like I didn't promise anybody anything. I didn't want to.
Well, I got you 2 backers, so you owe me your life. You know that's the rules. You know, you must now pledge loyalty and fealty to me because, you know, I promoted you or I'm going to cry. You must agree with everything I say. You know the rules.
Oh, sorry.
He did not go back.
Sorry.
You know,
I almost gagged for a second. That one cost me my soul.
Them's the rules, dudes. You know, it's a feudal system. It's a feudal society, right? That's so. How you said January you'll go into print with this? You think?
Anyway, I should have it ready to go to print, and then February should begin fulfillment.
Okay, cool. Anything else you want to talk about? I feel like I've been keeping you here too long.
No, I think we've had a good conversation. I think again, like the art of conversation is lost in the space, and try to like really turn things around, like, in terms of like forming our own network of people that are like-minded in terms of what is the goal? Is the goal to create products, create stories and characters, and inspire a new generation of readers? You know, with that being said, like if we have enough people to dedicate to that, it's as simple as, okay, yeah, I'll recommend this person, I'll refer to this person, we'll keep it civil, we don't got to be friends, we just need to be cool and just be business minded.
Well, I firmly believe, like, if I only talk to people who agree with me, I don't learn anything. Like, I've had people on my channel that are super progressives. We've had a civil conversation. We avoided politics. I've reached, like, I went to the comic convention to try to get Heather Antos on my channel. She said no. But and then people busted my balls. Oh, you talking to Heather Antos? Yeah. Why not? You know,
I never had like Heather Antos. I mean, don't get me wrong, she is a terrible editor. Like wherever she goes,
right, her comics are absolutely. But why can't we talk about this? And
right, exactly.
I also
and there was one time she reposted my campaign. She put out a call for people to put their campaigns, and she reposted them. And I posted my campaign, and she reposted it. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, you know, like I mean, she probably didn't know CG at the time, so that was the thing. And she ended up blocking me afterwards when she found out. But I mean, I'll talk to people. You know, like I don't have any personal beef with these people in the industry. I mean, a lot of what they're saying is shit, and what they're doing is shit. But I'll talk to them. But I'll hear what they got to say. You know, we'll have a conversation, and I'm not gonna say, "Yo, you're wrong." It's like no, I'll just, you know, we'll have a conversation and, you know, keep it moving. So
for whatever I do a series called Sunday Comics, and every once in a while I'll pick like a really bizarre comic, like this is coming up soon. You know, it's something I want to talk about. You know, and it seems that whenever I do really bizarre comics, Gail Simone messages me. I really like that. That was fun. You know, why don't you come on my channel? We'll talk. You know, then it goes silent. You know, but like, why do you want to talk to Gail Simone for? She's what are you, one of them now? It's like, why not? She's in the comic book business. It would be an interesting talk, and it would be. I would love to talk to Mark Waid. Have Mark Waid on my comic. You know, just like I would love to have like a button where he can't leave for a full hour. You know, and because. And I'm not a getcha guy. I'm not going to insult you, but like you come on my channel, you get basic respect. We'll have a respectful conversation. I'm not going to insult you. I'm not going to make fun of you, even though I know it's going to end badly. But like, that's what I want. That's why I don't like when Mint Salad was insulting July when he was on my channel. You know, like
I
read super chat that's insulting my guest to the. I was just like,
I saw that, and I saw. Yeah, I was like, that's her and Katie did. They do that. They super chat streams to kind of derail them to get their own little gotcha clips. I've learned that when that ever happens to me, I just wait to do what I got to do. Then I'll do like, oh, time to read super chats, and then that way they don't get their clip. But yeah, she has no, not that she ever had a reason, but now she has zero authority to be criticizing anyone's art. Mint Salad does. Like her shit is not that good, and she's clearly not interested in getting better, and she should know her place, in my opinion. But whatever, karma's taking care of her.
Well,
so
literally, that was my first super chat, so I was all excited. So as soon as it came in, I read it without reading it, and I was like,
yeah.
And Eric was a champ about it. He's like, dude, take that money. He was cool. You know, he was cool about it. I feel really.
I think Eric gets it. Like he's handled for what it's worth. He's handled all the shit thrown at him pretty good. I'm sure behind the scenes he's talking about it and how it's pissing him off, but I'm sure they're telling him, listen, you're doing great, man.
I'm
You're
sure
focusing
behind
on
the
this
scenes,
book.
like, man, I wish this guy would leave me alone. But
Exactly, yeah, and I know for a fact that there's some conversations happening. That's all I'll say. But he's out there focusing on his book. He's getting the book out to his customers. His customers like it. That's all that matters. Does his customer base like it? And so far
I've been hearing, because people know that I'm not CG and I'm not Ripperverse either. You know, I'm my own little fiefdom. And a lot of people have been messaging me and be like, you know what, I like Ripper, just the way he's handling it all. He's ignoring it, staying focused. He's not getting drawn into the drama, and he's producing books. He's hiring people. You know, he's got writers, he's got artists. You know, he's doing more for comics. And I EVS commented on, nice story, bro. Like, I made this up, but it's the God's honest truth. I was sitting at lunchtime at work, and this guy Mike, he's older than me, and he goes, "You're into comics? Do you know this ISOM?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know." I didn't want to say I didn't like it. I didn't want to hurt the guys. He's like, "Yeah, you know," because he was into Blaze Media, so he came around from the other side, heard about Ripper Comics, and he goes, "Yeah, I like it. I'm buying comics. I pre-ordered issue 2, and I was like, "Oh, cool." I was like, "Have you read Cyberfrog?" He's like, "No, what's that?" I was like, "Oh, it's something. Should I get it?" I was like, "Look it up." You know, I didn't want to, you know, but like, I was just curious. It was my own little experiment. Here's a guy, a normie, you know, his grandfather, he's buying Ripper comics now. I never saw a normie guy fall into CG comics. Like,
correct. Yes.
You fell into CG comics because you got disillusioned with the mainstream. And then you got disillusioned with CG and you left.
Yeah, that's a lot of customers that way. Like, they came into the CG because they were finally intrigued by comics again, and then the drama and the lack of comics said, "Okay, I'm out," and we lost a large chunk of that base.
So Eric July is getting people into comics. You know, is it a stampede? No, it's a trickle. But you know, beggars can't be choosers, because comic books is a tiny little niche market that I think is dying out. Now, there will always be comics. You know, when you say that Richard Meyer, these comics are dying, you right wing one. No, it's getting smaller and smaller. It's a smaller pie. A rising tide floats all boats. When you're chasing people away from that comic book, you're chasing people away from comic books. You know, man, if only CG had buddied up and whatever. I don't know. I wasn't there, and I really don't care. Maybe Eric July did F over Evan. I don't know. Or Ethan. I don't even like saying Evan because it's just so childish. Maybe there's I don't know. At this point, I don't believe it. Maybe Ethan is just crazy. I don't know. But the bottom line is, hash that out in private.
Yes.
Geez, if only they had worked together. If only they had worked together.
You know, and it's funny. All EVS or whomever had to do was just bite your ego, like make it work behind this, spar it out behind the scenes, and then public just do the diplomatic thing. Because at the end of the day, the idea was to grow this. The idea was to grow a fan base, to grow readership, but the egos got in the way, and now Comicsgate is shrunken to such few, so much so badly that EVS lost 90% of its backer base. So I'm like, Cyberfrog Red Planet, which made 1.2 million, and then the Cyberfrog sequels, which crawled to 100 grand. So he lost 90% of his backer base based on that.
Yeah, I always follow the numbers, though. You know, how many backers did issue number 1 get, and how many backers did issue 3 get? That to me is the important thing, because
he lost a lot.
Yeah. You know,
he lost thousands at least.
You know,
he lost a lot.
It's just now, you know, for a long time I had the reputation of being like Mr. Grandpa, nice guy comics, and then I kind of went berserk, started fighting with everybody, and I kind of lost that. But I hope that people think that I'm logical and consistent, and I don't back down. I've had fights with people that nobody's known about. Me and the guy fought, you know, back and forth through private DMs. A couple of guys, we said goodbye. We're never going to talk again. A couple of guys, we worked it out, and nobody knows about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Keep it behind the scenes. Just keep it behind the scenes. Look, we know for a fact that Jack Kirby and Stan Lee didn't get along, but you rarely hear about that because they didn't bring that shit out in public.
Right. Yeah. It's just like, dude, I'm trying to sell a comic book. You're trying to sell a comic book. I wish you the best. Sorry that we didn't get along. I'm sorry this happened. You know, I think it's a misunderstanding, but You know, I'm not going to bring it up in public. I'm not even going to, if anybody even asks me, I'm not going to. But I'm just trying to say that, yes, I've had fights with people. I'm a normal human. And it's nobody else's business. It's nobody else's business. Yeah. And when you, creative people, and yes, I'm going to be egotistical enough to include myself as a creative person, we fight. You know, it happens. It happens. But like one thing I learned working with real guys on a construction site is that you fight, you get it out of your system. One of the guys apologizes, and then once there's an apology offered in good faith, like an unsolicited, like if somebody forces me to apologize, I'm going to my grave hating that person, and I'm never apologizing. But like if I feel I need to apologize, and it just comes out, dude, I'm sorry, Alazmat. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I called you a duck. That was racist of me. I apologize.
You called me Alazmat. Now you've undermined your own point by being insulting without even realizing it.
I apologize. You know what I mean? Like an unsolicited from the heart apology, that means the world, because it's hard for me to do. So, you know, just that's the point that I'm saying is real men, they get over it. They get it out of the system. They get mad. They fight. They move on.
Look at my muscle. Look at my muscles, okay? You'll call me Alazmat one more time. These muscles are going to say, hello, face. What's wrong with you? I'm a human being. I deserve to be respected. Oh, that. Oh, yeah. What?
It's that remember that fresh card you did for Richard?
I do. So she did that trading card for Richard Embry, and what she did was she drew the Mango character in the foreground with very little detail, and the faces of the background characters kind of wonky. I'm like, this is the bitch that criticized my artwork. Who is she? Like, who is she to criticize anyone's artwork? You know, like, know your role. When you're an artist, know your role. That's that. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't have it prepped up to show, but I was on Frog Tony's channel, and it was basically an ambush, and I think I navigated it well enough that maybe I was like, okay, me and Frog Tony are pretty cool. And then later on, he's making cards about me and stuff like that. But he criticized the art, and he showed the splash page for issue 1. That is a beautiful piece of artwork. And you know what his criticism was? Like a pixel was off.
Yeah.
And I where's your art? You wouldn't bring it up. You know, I almost started laughing. I was like, this is coloring book art, but whatever. You know, you can criticize my comics writing, absolutely, but the art is outstanding. When I work for somebody else like Eric on Vaughn, like Eric who? When I work for Eric July, if he called me and said, John, do you want to write something? Yeah, I'll have it written in 24 hours. You know, that would just be stupid not to. You know what I mean? I don't think he ever would. But who's Vaughn? Vaughn who?
I think maybe Von Klaus, maybe. Is that you talking about? Von Klaus?
I don't know who that is. I'm not
Von Klaus. Von Klaus is the guy who wrote Monster MD.
Yeah, why would he hire me? He's a writer. You know what I mean? If you wanted to work on. Now here's my thing. I would have to, because I know Chuck, and I keep going back to Chuck Dixon, but to me he's you know, the legendary model to emulate. You know, it ain't bad if you're gonna be a comic book writer to get somebody like that as your role model.
Yeah.
But he's turned down jobs because he didn't have an angle. He didn't have a hook. Like if they hired me to write Marvel right now, if they wanted me to write the Fantastic Four, like that would ever happen. We're talking fantasy situation. I would say no, I don't have a hook. But like Captain Marvel, Shazam, man, I would jump on that in a heartbeat because I've been thinking, you know, I have been thinking about the Fantastic Four, but Marvel kind of pissed me off. You know, would I write Batman? No, I don't have a hook. Frog Tony's a coward. The rest of they can't argue in good faith. Oh, Vaughn Coleman?
Oh, Coleman. Okay, Vaughn Coleman. By the way, Vaughn Coleman.
I would love to. I think he's talented. I don't know enough about his world, so I don't think.
Of if I'm gonna to look it up and read over and review it, so I do have that. So Vaughn does pretty good at cons. He's actually people are starting to like into stuff. So he is doing his thing. Vaughn Coleman is. So there's your shout out Vaughn Coleman. So there you go, clip it.
Yeah, if he was to like, hey John, you want to write a short backup story about one of my characters? I would have to learn more about his world and everything like that before I would. I just think it would be disrespectful otherwise. But like Marvel, I know about Marvel. I could, not that they would, but I also don't want to. Frog Tony, Lord of the Rings doesn't do world building. He actually said that?
He did. Yes, he did. And like, this is the guy that dares criticize anything Eric July does? Are you serious? Like, the Lord of the Rings doesn't do world. Are you? I was like, this fucking. Jap tooth motherfucker.
The blonde, super
Wow.
young kid knocking out books. Yeah, that one. Yeah, one's great. One's great. I bust his chops. I hope he doesn't think I'm being serious. You know, I
Probably
bust
not,
his chops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you want me to say about Lord of the Rings? Jeez. Matter of fact, that was my big criticism about ISOM is it was world building. The first issue, to my mind, should have been laser focused on ISOM. There was too many characters. There was too much going on to the point where that's what I was about to do with Heroic Tales #1. And Brian Bow was just like, dude, I don't care about any of this. This is just world building the comic, like laser focus. And that's why I picked Patriarch, because I thought he was the easiest sell, the easiest hook. Matter of fact, I'm writing a story right now that is just world building the comic, but I think I could do it now. You know, I think enough people know about my comic that I could do a world building the comic.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you want to establish your main character first, and then you start building after that. So yeah,
take your son to sushi for his birthday. Good job. My book takes place in Vaughn's. Does it really?
Yeah, there you go. Crossover. There you go. Look at that crossover.
Does it really? No, you're goofing.
I do know that they go at cons together. They were at the Heroes Con together, sharing a table, so that makes sense. I was like, okay, so that's why they're together, because their products are taking place in the same world. So you're trying to build off. Yeah.
Oh wow, I did not know that. I thought
you should have it on the show one day and talk about that.
That's what's been on my channel before, right? That's what's
okay.
Yeah. I'm kind of blown away. I'm speechless right now. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. And Vaughn has invited me to go to conventions with him. He's been very generous, but I just, when you're my age, you need like more than like 4 days notice to like plan a weekend. You know what I mean? It's just, oh man, I wish you told me. I got 5 brothers and sisters. I got this planned. I got that planned. I was doing this. So Vaughn, if you're watching, give me 3-4 weeks notice. I'll go to conventions, but I also didn't want to go until I had more than one book. I just, for personal reasons, I just thought it looks pathetic. Here's my one book. But if you go there with like 2 or 3 books, then they'll take you a little bit more seriously. Oh, and
that's why I started to fill my table with art now. Like I not just my books, but now I'm doing like original art pieces. And like I sold a piece on Saturday, and I got a DM this morning about one of my art pieces. So I was like, I got to do more of these, because in addition to my books, now I got the original art, and now my table looks full and vibrant. I was like, I love it. This is great,
Yeah, I don't want to just like, here's a table, here's one book.
Right. Yeah.
Ta-da, buy it. Now I can fill a whole table, with, I got, 7 variations of 2 books. And now I got a bunch of merch. By the way, I'm building a merch campaign. So that's going to be my next campaign, because I think I want to wait until Patriarch #1 is like ready to print before I even do, because that'll give me more options. If I got the whole comic done and then do a campaign, I could do more things with it. So that's what I think I'm going to do. And Renzo's just banging it out really quick. So that's great. I got another comic that one of the artists says he's going to be done within the month. Oh God. And then so I'm going to do a merchandise campaign.
Yeah. Okay.
How are you? Do you web page or social media?
So like when I started doing my drawings, I at some point I was thinking about doing like an auction on my website, but then I just said, I'm also going to sell the original pieces at cons. But if you want to buy my stuff, I do post it on my X. Like if you follow me on X, I don't know if you do or not, but if you follow me on X, every Monday I post a drawing that I do for my indie comic outliers. I'm not my indie comic, my monster. Monday Monster Moratorium live streams, where I draw a monster from a movie I talk about that particular Monday. So last week we did Gremlins, and I drew Stripe, which I just showed on the stream here. And then before that, I did Godzilla in 1954. And then before that, I did the Predator from the original Predator film. So I've been doing like drawings every week. So I saw my Gillman and I saw my Godzilla. So I still have the Predator available. I still have the Stripe from Gremlins available. I'm going to do Nosferatu next. I have a wonderful idea for that one. And my goal at some point will be to do a film review book of the horror movies that I want to talk about, and show those drawings as part of that review. So that way, instead of an art book, I have an encyclopedia book with my art in it. So like that's going to be probably a better sell than just an art book.
Cool. And here's his Twitter. You can follow him and message. This is how I saw what he was selling through Twitter. So there we go. All right.
Yeah, yeah. And if you don't want to peruse like the entire timeline, you just go to the section on media, and you'll see the drawings that I've done there. It'll be easier that way.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that function. You could just
Mm-hmm.
you could do that. But I think we're gonna shut it down now. I'm gonna eat some dinner and then go to bed. I'm back to waking up at 4 a.m. So I mean that's I got a normal schedule. I can interact with humanity again, but I gotta wake up at 4 a.m. to go to work. So anything you want to say before we go?
I think I've said everything I had to say, but if you're interested in following me, my ex is posted in the chat. I mean, you can follow me on my YouTube. I do streams every week. I am doing a couple more documentary style videos coming up. I'm looking forward to feedback. And, if you guys enjoyed our conversation, again, follow me on my ex and on my YouTube.
Yeah, I love the documentaries. They're fun. I went back and watched all of them. I with the CG one was the first one that I knew about. And that was like 2 hours. I remember I was working with my headphones on, and like anytime somebody talked to me, I had to stop, rewind. Like I was really into it. I thought that was really good. And then next thing you know, I'm a subject, and you didn't tell me or anything. People were just like, "Hey, Alazmat made a doc." Man, I was like, "What did I do now?" You hear about that, you thought like, "Oh, this guy's going to destroy me," and then I didn't realize it was all that stuff that people targeting me.
Yeah, because I really thought that like they were unfairly targeting you. I mean, all you did was just make critiques, and it's not like you had any personal bias toward it. So I was observing how they were treating you. I'm like, yeah, he's just another guy they're mistreating. It's like I've seen this before, but for some reason, something about what they were doing to you just said, okay, I gotta investigate this because this is not just some isolated incident. And then when Richard C. Meyer wrote after you, I'm like, okay, something is going on because Richard C. Meyer allegedly doesn't follow his space, but then I'm like, I think he does, and I think EVS is in his pocket. Is in his, or Richard C. Meyer's in EVS's pocket. I think that's what's going on with that, but I can't prove it. So
egotistical. I think it's because what I said was the absolute truth. Without it was.
That's what it is. They can't handle honest criticism that their work is subpar at best.
It was 100% on target, and that's why it was because, like I said, nobody challenged what I said.
Exactly.
It was all personal attacks. It was all
and the thing is, like, they can't go after you if you're only saying something that can't be proven or isn't resonating. If they're coming after you, it's because you hit the mark.
And it was really bizarre because it was people that I haven't interacted with in literally a year coming out.
Yeah.
Like they must have got their marching orders.
That's it. That's what it is. They're in their Discord and they post that link of that post in the Discord, and now that's where they're going.
Right. Yeah. What's his name? Dan Lawless blocked me. I haven't interacted with him in over a year. I haven't seen a tweet by him. I literally paid him no mind. He was a person that didn't exist anymore. And now this whole purple thing is coming out. Why are you bringing me up? How does that sell your comic?
Exactly.
Aaron Lopresti's having a closeout for Wrath of God, which is a phenomenal comic. And it's on EVS's channel. They're talking about me. So I messaged Aaron Lopresti live. I'm like, how is this selling your comic? You're selling Wrath of God, and anybody tuning in to check out Wrath of God, you're talking about John's dung box like 4-year-olds. How does that sell your comic? And he goes, well, you were talking about me. I said, no, I wasn't. He goes, you weren't? I said, dude, I talked to your wife. I thought we were cool. The only thing I ever said is these hanging out with these people is hurting good, talented people like Aaron Lopresti. So they must have put a bug in his ear that I was talking about him or reading private message, which I wasn't. Guys, I have never read a private message out loud. That is such bitch, childish, girl faggot behavior.
It's because Lawless accused me at the time. He accused me of saying that I had an issue with the pros being in CG, and I thought, no, I never had an issue with the pros being in CG. That was never my main goal, my main issue. My main issue was the behavior afterwards. But obviously, when the pros came in, it did give CG a sense of legitimacy at the time. So when he said that, he's like, okay, well, then I was wrong about that. And I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, so that's out the back. So, that's out the way now. So now we understand that was not my argument. So once we cleared that, then I started to get into the real core of the argument, and that's when he started to flounder because he didn't have his talking points anymore.
Yeah, I was just like, go ahead. All right, cool. You're going on a guy's channel to promote your comic, and you're talking about a guy with less than 2,000 subscribers that, good. That's great strategy there.
I know they've lost the art of talking. Just keeping it focused on their books. They just lost that art.
Right. You go to a car. You're gonna go watch somebody sell a car, and they're talking about the Chinese restaurant around the block.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just so stupid, so childish.
Yeah.
Good job, Aaron. You hooked up to the great horse. You know that's what they're gonna do when it's your time to shine. Talk
He
about
said horse.
Yeah. But I'm gonna go.
No comments.
Yeah, I'm gonna go eat my dinner and then go to bed.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Sounds like a good night.
Yep. Thanks a lot, everybody. It's time to say goodbye, kids.
Thank you.
Goodbye, kids.